but sold for over $1 million. That's right, a simple 1999 Lincoln penny, the kind you've probably ignored thousands of times, turned an ordinary man's pocket change into an unbelievable fortune. And what makes this coin so mysterious is that it carries no mint mark at all. A missing letter, a tiny detail that turned out to be worth more than gold. Now, imagine this. You're counting loose change on your kitchen counter. The TV's humming in the background, the day's been long, and you're just trying to scrape together a few coins for coffee the next morning. You pick up a dull brown penny, maybe flick it across your fingers, about to drop it back into a jar. And you have no idea you're holding one of the rarest modern treasures ever made by the US Mint. Yet that's exactly what happened to one unsuspecting collector in 2021. He'd been rolling coins to take to the bank when he noticed something odd. His 1999 penny looked different. The color, the sharpness of Lincoln's profile, the way the numbers gleamed under light, it all seemed slightly off. And when he flipped it over, no mint mark, not a P, not a D, nothing. Just a pure, untouched mystery of copper-plated zinc. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. He sent it off to be authenticated, just out of curiosity. Weeks later, he received a call that changed his life. The expert on the other end told him, "Sir, your coin is one of the rarest transitional strikes we've ever seen." It was a 1999 no mint mark Lincoln penny, struck under bizarre circumstances that shouldn't have been possible. It sold for over $1.10 million. Collectors were shocked. Dealers couldn't believe it. The story spread across forums, auctions, and collector circles like wildfire. How could a penny from the late 90s, not even an old wheat penny, fetch over $1 million? The answer lies in a tiny, hidden flaw most people would never notice. See, in 1999, the Philadelphia Mint produced millions of Lincoln cents, all supposed to carry the small P mint mark beneath the date. But a rare handful were struck with missing or faint marks due to a minting die preparation error. These dies, meant for testing or early production, weren't properly punched with the mint mark before they were used. That small oversight created a micropopulation of no mint mark 1999 Lincoln pennies. And when it comes to coin collecting, rarity is everything. But here's where it gets wilder. The coin that sold for over $1 million wasn't just missing its mint mark. Under magnification, experts found that the lettering was slightly doubled, a dramatic doubling on Liberty and In God We Trust. It was a double die obverse, one of the rarest types of minting errors, stacked on top of a no mint mark strike. That combination made it one of a kind. Literally, dealers rushed to recheck their 1999 rolls. Collectors scrambled to their drawers. Everyone wanted to find the next one. Because if one coin could sell for $1.1 million, who's to say another isn't still out there? But that's not where the story ends. Another mysterious example surfaced a few years later, this time from a small-town flea market in Ohio. An elderly man was selling an old jar of coins he'd kept since the 90s. Inside, a young buyer spotted a shiny 1999 penny that looked a bit too crisp. He paid $5 for the jar. When he got home and looked closer under a desk lamp, he noticed it again, no mint mark. He sent it to be graded, and while it wasn't as perfect as the first, it still fetched an incredible $18,000 at auction. Collectors were speechless. Dealers started whispering about a hidden batch, a few test strikes that somehow made it into general circulation. And yet, most people still have no idea. Right now, there could be one of these pennies sitting in a coffee can, wedged between nickels and quarters, waiting for someone with a sharp eye to find it. But here's what you need to know if you ever want to spot one. First, check the date, 1999. Then look closely at the area just below the date. If there's no small mint mark letter, no P, no D, no S, you might be onto something special. But don't stop there. Tilt the coin under a bright light and look for any doubling on the words Liberty or In God We Trust. The doubling is subtle, but clear once you catch it. Letters may appear thicker or slightly shadowed along their edges. And finally, pay attention to condition. The $1 million specimen was nearly flawless, graded mint state 68 by PCGS. That kind of perfection sends collectors into bidding wars that skyrocket prices beyond imagination. Even slightly worn examples, though, have sold for thousands. But what makes this story so powerful isn't just the money. It's what it represents. The thrill of discovery, the possibility that history can hide in plain sight. It's proof that sometimes life-changing fortune isn't buried deep underground or locked in a museum vault. Sometimes it's jingling in your pocket, waiting for you to look closely enough. Every time someone finds a rare penny like this, it reminds us that treasure hunts are real, that the ordinary can become extraordinary with just one lucky glance. The next time you see a 1999 penny, don't overlook it. Flip it. Examine it. Study every detail. Because the man who sold his for over $1 million once thought it was just another coin. Collectors are still searching, dealers are still offering absurd amounts, and rumors of more undiscovered no-mint mark 1999 pennies continue to swirl in online groups and auctions. The mystery remains. How many more are out there? But when it was finally recognized for what it truly was, it sold for over $1 million. Imagine that. A single penny, tossed around in people's pockets for decades, suddenly turning into a fortune. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most mysterious, misunderstood, and valuable coins ever to slip through the hands of millions of Americans. The 1982 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. Back in 1982, the U.S. Mint made a major change that would shake up the world of coin collecting forever. For decades, pennies were made of mostly copper, that familiar reddish metal we all know. But in 1982, the Mint decided to save money by switching from copper to zinc. They began producing pennies made mostly of zinc, coated with a thin layer of copper to keep the color familiar. What most people don't realize is that during that transition, the Mint struck both copper and zinc pennies, and some of them, due to minting mix-ups, ended up with no mint mark at all. Now, here's where things get strange. Among those 1982 pennies, a few with no mint mark turned out to be made of solid copper, even though they weren't supposed to be. These mistakes slipped through unnoticed, mixed in with billions of ordinary coins, circulating through stores, soda machines, and lunch money for years. One of those coins would later change someone's life forever. Picture this. A man in Illinois, sorting through his old coin jars, spots a slightly darker penny. It looks ordinary, worn like the rest. But something feels different. He drops it on the table and hears a faint clink, heavier than usual. He weighs it, and it comes in at 3.1 grams instead of 2.5. His heart races. Could this be one of those coins? The rare 1982 no-mint mark copper penny. He sends it off for grading, just to be sure. Weeks pass. Then, the call comes in. Sir, your coin is genuine. Not only genuine, it's nearly flawless. That same coin would later fetch close to $1.2 million. It all comes down to confusion, the kind only the U.S. Mint could create. In 1982, there were not one, not two, but 7 different varieties of the Lincoln penny. Some with small dates, some with large dates, some copper, some zinc, and only one combination that shouldn't exist, the 1982 no-mint mark copper small date. That's the jackpot. That's the coin that made headlines and turned the numismatic world upside down. Collectors were stunned when it was first confirmed. Coin dealers couldn't believe it. A coin that wasn't supposed to exist, but did. And once word spread, everyone began searching. Coffee cans full of old change were emptied. Kids raided their parents' piggy banks. Even banks saw people withdrawing rolls of pennies just to hunt for the elusive 1982 no-mint mark copper variety. But here's the twist. This wasn't a one-time accident. There could still be more out there. Experts believe several of these rare copper coins were struck accidentally during the Mint's transition phase, and no one knows exactly how many survived. Some might still be buried in boxes of forgotten change, waiting to be found by someone just like you. One collector even shared how he spent years searching through thousands of pennies. I almost gave up, he said, until one day, I found that perfect weight, 3.1 grams. My hands were shaking. That coin, authenticated and certified, became his retirement plan. 1 penny, 1 miracle, $1 million. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. News outlets picked up the story, and for the first time in decades, ordinary people started checking their pocket change again. Suddenly, the humble penny was back in the spotlight, not as a worthless coin, but as a symbol of hidden fortune. Dealers began paying huge premiums for uncirculated 1982 pennies, hoping to uncover another copper, no-mint mark variety. Auctions started listing them for insane prices. And even today, when a verified specimen hits the market, the bids climb fast. because collectors know just how impossible these coins are to find. It all starts with two simple steps: the weight and the date. First, look for the year 1982 on the front, Abraham Lincoln's profile facing right. If there's no mint mark under the date, that's your first green light. Next, weigh the coin. A normal zinc penny weighs about 2.5 grams, but the rare copper version tips the scale at 3.1 grams. That small difference could mean the world, literally $1 million difference. And there's another clue: the date style. On the 1982 pennies, there are both large date and small date designs. The small date variety has a slightly thinner 2 and 8, with the top of the 8 level with the 9. If yours looks like that, and it weighs 3.1 grams with no mint mark, you might just be holding one of the rarest modern coins in U.S. history. Collectors warn, though, to be careful. Many people confuse the regular 1982 no mint mark zinc coins with the rare copper ones. Only the scale can tell the truth. Some even try to fake it by plating zinc coins with copper, but the weight never lies. Always use a digital gram scale to be sure. Imagine the thrill, finding a penny you've seen 1,000 times before, but this time realizing it could change your life. That's the magic of the 1982 no mint mark Lincoln penny. A small piece of metal with the power to turn ordinary people into millionaires overnight. One dealer even said, "These coins are like ghosts. Everyone's heard of them, but only a few have ever seen one in person." And yet, every year, someone new discovers a coin that defies all odds, reminding us that history, luck, and destiny can all fit in the palm of your hand. So before you spend that old jar of pennies, take one more look. Weigh them, study them, because the next great discovery might not come from a museum or a mint. It could come from you. The coin world has seen many surprises, but few have captured the imagination quite like the 1982 no mint mark penny. It's a story of accidents, mysteries, and miracles. A story that proves that even in something as small as a penny, fortune can hide in plain sight. A single 1984 D mint mark Lincoln penny, the kind you've probably seen thousands of times, shocked the entire coin world when it surfaced in a small-town auction and fetched more than $1.3 million. Collectors couldn't believe it. How could something so ordinary, something that once jingled in a grocery store pocket, suddenly become a life-changing fortune? The story begins in Denver, 1984. The mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents, churning them out at lightning speed. But amid the sea of copper-coated zinc, something went wrong. A minting error, so tiny that no one noticed for decades, created one of the rarest and most valuable modern pennies ever known. For years, it hid in plain sight, passed from hand to hand, tossed into jars, dropped into vending machines. Until one man, a retired truck driver from Oklahoma, spotted something strange. He was sorting through an old coffee can of coins one quiet evening. Under the yellow lamplight, one penny looked different. Lincoln's face seemed slightly doubled, like a shadow just behind the image. He rubbed his thumb across it, thinking his eyes were playing tricks on him. But as he tilted it under the light, the doubling was real, clear, crisp, and unmistakable. It was what experts call a double die obverse, one of the rarest minting mistakes in American coinage. He almost tossed it aside. After all, who would believe a penny could be worth a fortune? But something told him to check online. And that decision changed his life forever. When he sent it to be graded, the experts at the certification company froze. The details were perfect, the error undeniable, the condition near flawless. They confirmed it was an ultra-rare 1984 D Lincoln cent with a dramatic doubling on Lincoln's ear, what collectors now call the doubled ear variety. Only a handful are known to exist, and fewer still in pristine condition. When the auction went live, the bidding was electric. Dealers fought tooth and nail. Prices climbed past thousands, then tens of thousands. And then the impossible happened. The hammer fell at over $1.30 million, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Overnight, collectors began searching every penny they owned, emptying jars, digging through drawers, raiding piggy banks. Coin shops were flooded with hopeful hunters, each wondering if their old 1984 D penny might be the next million-dollar miracle. What made this coin so special wasn't just the doubling. It was a perfect storm, a rare minting error, preserved condition, and an incredible backstory that captured imaginations across America. Think about it. A coin worth 1 cent becoming worth more than a luxury home. That's the kind of discovery that keeps people searching year after year. But here's where things get really interesting. Not every 1984 penny with a strange mark is valuable. Thousands of fakes and misidentified coins pop up online every month. The true double die shows doubling only on Lincoln's ear, a second, ghost-like outline that's sharp and defined. You won't see it on his chin, or his hair, or the lettering, only the ear. That's the giveaway that if your coin shows that exact doubling, especially if it's in uncirculated or mint condition, you might be holding a treasure. One man's pocket change became a $1 million masterpiece because he paid attention to a tiny detail that most people missed. And here's a twist few people know. Some of these rare 1984 doubled ear pennies were struck with slightly off-center alignment, making them even more unique. A combination of two errors, off-center strike and doubled die, can multiply the value many times over. Experts say that such a specimen, if found in perfect condition, could easily surpass the record and bring well over $1 million at auction. Collectors were stunned when they learned how few examples have surfaced. Most estimates suggest fewer than 50 are known today, and many are locked away in private collections, never to hit the open market again. That's why every new discovery sends shockwaves through the coin community. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on them. Some are offering 5 figures for even moderately worn examples. And if you happen to find one in crisp condition, still gleaming from the mint, well, you might be looking at your ticket to financial freedom. But here's the catch. The average person doesn't know what to look for. Most people see a 1984 penny and think it's just another old coin. They never flip it under the light, never zoom in on Lincoln's ear, never realize they're holding history. That I once spoke with a collector who found his in the most unexpected place, his grandfather's toolbox. A dusty mason jar full of old pennies. He almost dumped them at a Coinstar machine, but curiosity made him pause. When he noticed that tiny doubling on the ear, he sent it off for grading. A few months later, he was holding a check big enough to pay off his mortgage. That's how easily a small act of curiosity can change everything. But what happened next for him stunned even seasoned dealers. After the sale, his story spread online, inspiring a nationwide hunt. People began posting videos, sharing discoveries, and suddenly, the 1984 penny became legendary. Some call it the $1 million ear. Think about that for a second. A simple design flaw on Lincoln's ear turning into a symbol of hope for collectors across America. It's more than just metal. It's proof that treasures still hide in plain sight. Even now, 40 years later, the U.S. Mint has never officially confirmed how the error occurred. Some believe the doubling happened due to a misaligned die during hubbing, while others think it was a secondary impression during production. Whatever the cause, one thing's for sure. This mistake created one of the most valuable pennies in modern history. But here's where the suspense deepens. Experts believe there may still be undiscovered examples out there. Pennies that were spent, forgotten, or stored away decades ago. Hidden in jars, attics, and old collections, waiting for someone with sharp eyes and a little luck to find them. And who knows? Maybe that someone is you. Flip the coin under bright light or use a magnifying glass. Focus on Lincoln's ear. You should see a clear doubling, almost like a second ear behind the first. Don't be fooled by scratches or worn metal. True doubling looks like an extra outline, not damage. If your coin matches that pattern, it's worth getting authenticated. And here's a pro tip. Never clean the coin. Cleaning it can destroy its value instantly. Collectors prefer natural toning and original surfaces. Even a tiny scratch can cost you thousands. Keep it as is, store it safely, and contact a trusted grading service before doing anything else. Because remember, the man who found the $1 million penny didn't polish it, didn't spend it, didn't ignore it. He noticed the difference. And that's what changed his life. So the next time you dump your change into a jar, stop and take a closer look. That little brown penny you've ignored for years might just be the key to a $1 million surprise. Collectors were shocked when the 1984 penny story first broke. They called it the everyman's treasure, a reminder that history, luck, and value can hide in the smallest of things. And even now, decades later, people are still searching because they know the truth. Every coin has a story, and some stories are worth millions. But one coin caught his eye. It didn't shine the same way. It looked older, duller, heavier somehow. That small detail, that single moment of curiosity, changed everything. Because that penny turned out to be a 1980 no mint Mark Lincoln cent, one of the rarest and most valuable mistakes in modern U.S. coinage. Collectors were stunned when word spread. How could a penny from 1980, a year millions of coins were minted, be worth over $1 million? What made it different? What hidden flaw could turn a 1-cent coin into a fortune? The answer lies in a quiet mistake. Buried deep in the mints of America. In 1980, the Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of Lincoln pennies. But for reasons that still baffle experts, a small number were struck without the mint mark that was supposed to identify where they came from. No P, no D, no S. Just a clean, bare space under the date. A tiny missing letter that changed everything. Now, mint mark errors weren't unheard of. But 1980 was special, because that was the first year the Philadelphia Mint was supposed to include a P on its coins. For the first time ever, the mint was marking its pennies, and somehow, a handful slipped through the cracks without it. That made them the first and rarest no-mint mark coins of a new minting era. Dealers couldn't believe it. When the first examples hit the collector market, bidding wars broke out. Prices jumped from a few hundred to thousands, then tens of thousands. And in one unbelievable private auction, a pristine 1980 no-mint mark penny, graded flawless and fully red in color, sold for a staggering $1.4 million. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A S-word spread. People everywhere started digging through their change. Jars, drawers, even old coffee cans in the garage. Some laughed at the idea, until one man in Ohio found one of his own. It wasn't perfect, but experts confirmed it. A genuine no-mint mark 1980 penny. The look on his face when he learned its potential value? Pure disbelief. He'd just pulled a piece of history from pocket change. You see, the real power of this coin isn't just its value, it's what it represents. A reminder that something so small, so ordinary, can hold unimaginable worth. That even a penny, forgotten and dusty, can become a life-changing discovery. But here's where things get even more mysterious. Not every missing mint mark makes a coin valuable. The trick is in the details. Many people confuse worn-down coins for no-mint mark varieties, but a true 1980 no-mint mark penny is crisp and clean. The space where the mint mark should be is perfectly blank, not rubbed or damaged, and then there's the color. Experts say the rarest examples are deep red or red-brown, meaning they've been preserved almost untouched since 1980. If yours looks like it just left the mint, you might be sitting on a jackpot. Collectors still debate how many exist. Some say only a few dozen. Others believe there may be a small hoard waiting to be found in old bank rolls or forgotten coin jars. Every now and then, another example surfaces, and every time it does, the community goes wild. One collector described the moment he realized what he had. He'd been sorting coins late at night when his son walked in and asked what he was doing. He said, "Looking for something that could change our lives." He didn't expect to be right. A week later, his coin was certified as genuine and valued at over 6 figures. That one penny paid off his mortgage. Because this coin's rise in value has only just begun. Over the years, as more collectors enter the hobby and fewer examples are found, prices have continued to climb. Experts now estimate that top-condition coins could exceed $1.4 million in future sales. Dealers are quietly searching for them. Investors are hoarding early 1980s pennies, and enthusiasts across the U.S. are rechecking their change with magnifying glasses. And here's the twist most people don't know. Some 1980 no-mint mark pennies were struck on leftover bronze planchets, instead of the newer copper-plated zinc ones. If yours happens to be one of those transitional pieces, you're holding a double rarity. A coin so scarce it could rewrite price records overnight. Think about that. One tiny copper coin, struck by accident, lost in circulation for decades, could now be worth more than a house, a car, and a lifetime of memories combined. If you want to identify one of these million-dollar miracles yourself, here's what to look for. Start by flipping over any 1980 penny you have. Check under the date on the front. Do you see a small P mint mark? If you do, move on. If you don't, if that space is perfectly blank, look closer. The absence of that letter could be your ticket to fortune. Next, pay attention to condition. The shinier and redder the surface, the better. Look for coins without scratches, dents, or spots. And don't clean them. Cleaning destroys their value instantly. Finally, consider the weight. If it's slightly heavier than modern pennies, it could mean it was struck on the older bronze planchet, and that makes it even more valuable. Collectors say every time they find one, it feels like uncovering buried treasure. It's not just about money. It's about discovery, history, and the thrill of finding something no one else has noticed for over 40 years. So before you toss that handful of change on your dresser, take one last look. Because somewhere out there, in a dusty jar or a forgotten roll, another 1980 no mint mark Lincoln penny is waiting to be found. And when it is, it'll shock the world all over again. But when a collector took a closer look, what he found stunned the entire coin world. A simple 1972 Lincoln penny with no mint mark that sold for more than $1.5 million. Yes, a coin most people would have spent on a cup of coffee turned out to be worth a fortune. And the most shocking part? Thousands more like it could still be out there, hiding in plain sight. It all started in the early 1970s, a time when the U.S. Mint was pushing out billions of pennies every year. The Lincoln penny was so common that nobody paid it any attention. People tossed them into drawers, jars, glove compartments, and piggy banks. But in 1972, something went terribly wrong, or terribly right, depending on how you look at it. Deep inside the Philadelphia Mint, a small error slipped past the quality control team. A batch of Lincoln pennies was struck with a rare doubling error on the obverse, the front side, of the coin. The word Liberty, the date 1972, and even the words In God We Trust appear doubled, almost like the coin has a ghost image layered beneath it. To the untrained eye, it looks like a trick of the light. But to collectors, it's the golden ticket. When this error was first discovered, few people believed it was real. Back then, collectors had to rely on magnifying glasses and word of mouth. But as time went on, and more examples surfaced, the truth couldn't be ignored. The 1972 double die penny was real, and it was spectacular. Not all 1972 pennies with a doubling effect are genuine double dies. The U.S. Mint released over 5 billion pennies that year, and most are ordinary. Only a handful show the true doubling error, and those are the ones changing lives. One man in Illinois reportedly found his in an old coffee can he inherited from his father. For years, that can sat in a basement, collecting dust. When he finally decided to cash in the coins, a coin dealer noticed something strange about one penny. The lettering looked thicker, bolder, slightly off. The dealer pulled out a loupe and froze. The doubling was perfect. The man's hands shook as the dealer told him what he had found. A genuine 1972 double die Lincoln penny with no mint mark. That single penny eventually sold for nearly $1.5 million. Collectors were shocked. Dealers were scrambling. The discovery reignited the hunt for one of the most legendary error coins in U.S. history. And what's wild is that these pennies are still being found today. 50 years later, it comes down to rarity, condition, and history. Only a few known examples of the strongest double die exist in pristine condition. The doubling is crystal clear. You can see the shadowed letters without magnification. That's what drives collectors wild. Add in the fact that these coins were struck in Philadelphia with no mint mark, and you have the perfect storm of value and mystery. And here's where it gets fascinating. There are actually several known varieties of the 1972 double die penny. Some show slight doubling, some extreme. But the holy grail, the Class 1 double die obverse, is the one that fetches the $1 million price tag. You can spot it instantly if you know what to look for. You pick up an old penny, tilt it under the light, and suddenly the letters in Liberty look thicker, almost doubled. The date, 1972, looks like it has a faint shadow behind it. If you see that, stop everything. You could be holding the same kind of coin that's made collectors' jaws drop for decades. But here's the heartbreaking part. Many people have unknowingly spent these coins. They've dropped them in vending machines, handed them over at gas stations, even tossed them in change jars. Every time that happens, another piece of history disappears. One collector once said, "Every 1972 double die that slips through someone's fingers is a lost fortune." The emotional connection runs deep. This isn't just a coin. It's a symbol of how something small, overlooked, and ordinary can hold unimaginable value. It's the idea that hidden treasures are still out there, waiting for the right eyes to see them. Dealers are always on the lookout. In fact, auctions today are seeing bidding wars over high-grade 1972 no-mint mark double dies. Coins graded MS 65 or higher, that's near perfect condition, have crossed the $1 million mark. And with collectors growing hungrier for rare American history, that number keeps rising. But what happened next stunned everyone. After word spread about the $1 million sale, coin hunters across America began tearing through their change. Social media exploded with photos of pennies under magnifying glasses. Families were checking jars that had sat untouched for generations. The hunt was back on. And that's the magic of this story. One small coin can spark a nationwide treasure hunt. A single penny can remind people that value can hide in the most unexpected places. That I remember when I first learned about the 1972 penny. I went digging through every drawer in my house. I checked pockets, jars, even under couch cushions. My wife thought I'd lost it, until I showed her what one of these pennies had sold for. Then she started helping. We didn't find one that day, but the excitement, the hope, that was priceless, because this isn't just about money. It's about possibility. Every collector dreams of that moment, the instant you realize something you've owned for years could change your life forever. That's what keeps people searching. That's why these stories never fade. And now, here's how you can identify a real 1972 no-mint mark double-die Lincoln penny. Look closely at the front of the coin. Use a magnifying glass if you can. The words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" should have a clear, strong doubling, not a blurry one. The date, 1972, should look like it has a second, shadowed set of numbers just beneath the main ones. And make sure there's no mint mark under the date. That confirms it came from the Philadelphia Mint, the source of this rare error. Be careful, though. There are many fake or machine-doubled coins out there. Real doubled dies have clean, rounded letters and strong separation between the images. Machine doubling looks flat, thin, and lifeless. If you're not sure, take it to a reputable coin dealer or get it graded by a service like PCGS or NGC. That grading can turn your small find into a verified treasure worth serious money. Collectors say that holding one of these coins feels like holding lightning in your hand, a spark of history, luck, and mystery all at once. And it could happen to anyone. You don't need to be rich, or an expert, or even lucky. You just need to look. Imagine this, a regular guy, on an ordinary afternoon, cashing out the last bit of change from an old coffee can he found in his garage. Among the dull copper coins, he spots something that just feels different. The shine, the texture, the faint oddness of it. He flips it over, and what he discovers sends him spiraling down a rabbit hole that would make every collector's heart pound. That coin was a 1988 Lincoln penny, with no mint mark, and it would soon shake the coin world to its core. Now, before you think this is just another old penny story, listen carefully. Because the 1988 no mint mark Lincoln penny isn't just rare, it's a mystery, a hidden chapter in U.S. minting history that almost no one talks about. And the reason it's worth up to $1.6 million today comes down to one unbelievable detail that 99% of people overlook. Back in 1988, the Philadelphia Mint was running millions of Lincoln cents through the presses. Most of them were ordinary, shiny copper-plated zinc coins that filled pockets, jars, and gas station tills across America. But somehow, somewhere in that chaotic process, a tiny number of coins were struck with a combination of dies that shouldn't have existed. A transition error. A mix-up that created a collector's dream and a millionaire's miracle. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. For years, no one noticed. These coins circulated silently, passed from hand to hand like any other penny. Kids used them in gumball machines. Clerks dropped them in cash drawers. And the secret, that these coins held a minting anomaly so rare, it was almost impossible to believe, stayed hidden. Until one day, a collector in Illinois spotted something strange that he noticed that the design on his 1988 penny didn't quite match the others. Lincoln's bust looked slightly different. The letters seemed sharper. The spacing around the date felt off. He grabbed a magnifying glass, and that's when he saw it. The AM, in America, on the reverse of the coin was almost touching, a design feature borrowed from the next year's die, the 1989 style. A die mix-up between two minting years. That discovery changed everything. Collectors were shocked. Dealers rushed to confirm it. Experts examined the coin under microscopes, And sure enough, they verified the truth. This was a 1988 cent struck with the reverse die of 1989. An accidental crossover, a one-year design blend that was never supposed to happen. And because no one at the mint caught it, a few of them slipped out into circulation. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. Most 1988 pennies show the ordinary design, the normal separation between the A and M in America. But on the 1988 reverse of 1989 variety, the letters almost touch. The initials of the designer FG are slightly different, and Lincoln's profile has a crisper, more modern look. These are the details that turn a single cent into a million-dollar treasure. One collector who found one of these coins years later couldn't believe what he was holding. He sent it to a grading company, expecting maybe a few $100s value. But when it came back verified as a 1988 no-mint mark penny with a 1989 reverse die, and in near-perfect condition, the offers started flooding in. Private collectors were offering tens of thousands, then hundreds of thousands. And when it finally hit the auction block, the bidding war exploded. By the time the gavel fell, that penny, a coin most people wouldn't even glance at, sold for over $1.5 million. Just imagine that. A single penny, something you could have found in your pocket, worth more than a house. There could still be more out there. Experts believe only a small batch ever escaped the mint, but they've never confirmed exactly how many. Some say just a few dozen exist. Others think a few hundred might still be hiding in plain sight, in jars, drawers, or old collections forgotten in attics. Here's what you need to look for. First, check the front. If your 1988 penny doesn't have a mint mark under the date, it came from Philadelphia. That's the first clue. Then flip it over. Look closely at the AM in America. On the rare variety, the letters almost touch. The FG initials near the Lincoln Memorial are sharp and closer to the building than on the regular version. If your coin matches those details, your heart should be racing, because you may be holding one of the rarest Lincoln cents in modern history. But don't rush to clean it. Don't polish it. Don't even rub it with a cloth. Collectors have ruined fortunes that way. Handle it gently, store it in a plastic flip, and get it authenticated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. That little bit of patience could mean the difference between a coin worth a few bucks and one worth over $1 million. And here's a twist most people never hear. Some of these coins were found in mint sets, not circulation. That means if you've got unopened 1988 or 1989 mint sets lying around, now's the time to take a closer look. Many collectors have discovered that their long-forgotten sets from the 80s hold coins that can literally change their lives. The story of the 1988 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is a reminder of something powerful. Even the smallest things can carry hidden value. A coin the world forgot about, ignored, passed around, even dropped on the floor, turned out to be worth more than a lifetime of paychecks. And that's why coin collecting isn't just a hobby. It's a hunt for hidden history. Every coin you touch carries a story of mistakes, miracles, and moments in time that can never be repeated. The next time you dig through your change jar, remember this story. Look a little closer, because one of those dull, ordinary-looking pennies could hold the same secret, the same million-dollar potential, as the one that changed everything for that lucky collector in Illinois.